Yo, what's going on? This is the Jay Cartere Show. I am your host, Jay Cartere, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about prison. So let's have a word from our sponsors and we'll get right into it. This episode of the Jay Cartere Show podcast is sponsored by me at growonyoutube.com. If you want to grow your YouTube gaming channel, then growonyoutube.com is the place to go. I just released my new book, A Gamer's Guide to Greatness, which will show you how to grow your YouTube gaming channel and turn it into a business. You can get that at growonyoutube.com/guide. If you want to grow your YouTube gaming channel and turn it into your career, make a full-time living, become a full-time YouTube gamer, actually build a business around it, then this book is for you. If you just want to live off AdSense and become a big YouTuber and be broke, then this book is not for you. It's not for anyone who wants overnight success or anything like that. But go to growonyoutube.com/guide if you think this will be helpful for you. You can see the reviews of happy customers who have purchased the book already and are now using the strategies in there to grow their own YouTube gaming channels. Now, I basically created the book that I wish I would have had when I first started out on YouTube. I've spent a variety of years. I think I started in around 2011 and I did a lot of experiments, a lot of research, a lot of trial and error in order to find out what actually works. So I've distilled all of that and put it into this book, this guide, so you guys can know what works and grow your YouTube gaming channel. I've grown my YouTube gaming channel to over 24,000 subscribers. When this comes out, it'll probably be even more than that. I don't know. It's continually growing. It's always growing and it's going to continue growing because I know what works. I know what works now and I've put that in this book to show you what works. And if you want that, go to growonyoutube.com/guide. Now let's get into the episode. So, prison. Why do I want to talk about prison? Well, in the last episode, we talked about crime. I talked about what I thought was the biggest factors that contribute to crime, and I think I came to the conclusion that it was insecurity and poverty, and I heavily believe that. I do think that those are very, very large factors, and those are the biggest factors, in my opinion, when it comes to crime that occurs in lower income households and that sort of stuff, like high end crime, like rape and that sort of stuff. Like that's different crime. Pedophilia, different crime. Like, I'm talking about crime that is motivated via financial gain. That's the crime I'm talking about. And I think we're gonna continue to talk about that sort of crime in this episode because, you know, that's the type of crime that I believe people can be redeemed from, you know, being that sort of criminal to become a functioning member of society, if only they knew the opportunities that were out there and they knew how to pursue them. Things like, you know, being a rapist and being a pedophile and you know, killing people for the sake of killing people, or being a serial killer or something like that. Those things can't really, like, I don't think those people can really be redeemed at that point. Like, maybe they can, like, with extreme therapy and shit like that, but those types of people are really, like, you know, they're gone. They're gone. I'm not trying to save those types of people. No way. Because those are crimes with victims that are terribly affected by those crimes. And, you know, that's just terrible stuff. So let's talk about prison. Let's talk about what I think about prison and what I think should be changed to improve prison. So I have not been to prison, luckily. Like, I think if you go to prison, then you're a failed criminal. Like, if you're going to commit crime, your goal should be to get money and not get caught. Like, that should be your goal. As soon as you get caught, you're a failed criminal. You're not cut, like, I don't know, I wouldn't say you're not cut out for this, but maybe you shouldn't keep on being a criminal because obviously you weren't at the point where you knew how to not get caught. Now, that can be said, but also what happens when people go to prison is they go to prison and they spend a bunch of time around other criminals and they generally learn how to commit crime better. Some people do, some people don't. Some people go in and come back out and they're still a terrible criminal and they go back in. But some people go in and they learn how to commit crime better and come out and learn from their mistakes and get caught less, or have a lesser chance to get caught in the future. And is that positive? Is that what we want to be? Is that what we want to be doing with our prison system? The thing that brought this up and made me want to talk about it is I saw a tweet today of a guy retweeting. Let me tell you the original tweet. The original tweet was from a police department saying, we just caught these guys for drug related offenses or something like that. I think there was heroin on the table in one of the pictures. Then there was a picture of a guy, a second picture of a black guy, and then a third picture of a white woman. And obviously the other drug picture that I already mentioned. And the black guy retweeted this and said, "Who's that handsome looking guy on the right?" or something like that, something to that effect. And it's got I think it's got 1,000 retweets or something like that, which is terrible because you really don't want to be gaining that much attention on a tweet like that when you're currently in prison. Oh, yeah, and the tweet also said, this guy got 4 years, this guy got 6 years, this woman got some sort of years, but it's more than 1 year. 1 year is a lot of time in someone's life. The amount of stuff you can get done in 1 year, it's amazing. So to be able to take that away from someone and to take that productivity away and to force them to just spend a year doing nothing, that is fucked up. That is a real punishment. That is a terrible punishment, and that holds people back in society. And I don't think that's the smartest thing to do for people who want to rehabilitate and get back into being a functioning member of society. But we'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, this guy, he retweeted the tweet, which was already a terrible thing, because why are you retweeting the tweet from the police when you're, going through legal ramifications? Don't be doing that, cuz that's just not smart. But, that's not my place to talk on what man should be doing with his Twitter. But I looked at his timeline and he was saying he's in jail, so he's just tweeting from jail apparently, which is, even worse in my opinion. If you don't want to get caught for this, what are you doing? It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm not gonna go in on him because he's in jail and stuff. He probably knows some criminals who won't take kindly to that. So we'll keep it clean. But personally, I wouldn't be doing that. If I was in jail, I'm not retweeting a police department. That's just not smart. That's just not smart. You're going to bring more attention to yourself to the fact that you got a phone in jail, which I believe is not allowed. But that is something that I want to touch. I don't think phones should be allowed on jail, because unless they're giving you phones that they can actually monitor, then fair enough. But I think that gives you a bit too much freedom to do stuff. I think, I don't know. I saw another tweet the other day of people in jail who had a whole gaming setup. They had PS4, Xbox One, they had the VR. I don't know if it was PSVR or HTC Vive or something like that, but they had some VR in there. And it's I don't know if that was contraband or if that's allowed or whatever. I don't know. That looked a bit mad. But, when people see tweets like this, they think that jail's an easy thing. And as I said, I haven't been to jail. I don't know what it's like in there, but I don't want to go to jail because it's taking time out of my life where I could actually be being productive. And I think that is a lot of punishment in itself. It doesn't matter if they give you Netflix and PS4 and all that sort of shit. If they don't give you the ability to be productive and to better your life, then you're just going to come out being in the exact same position that you were in before. Actually, you probably be in a worse position because you haven't had time to be trapping on the roads and saving money and stuff. So you come out into a world that's a little bit more advanced depending on how much time you've been in there. And what options do you have at that point? People don't want to hire you because you've been to jail, or you get a crappy job that you don't like, And then, the likelihood is you just slip back into criminality. Like all the people, let me not say all the people, but the majority of people that I know that have been to jail, they're still criminals. They're still committing crime. Like that's just what they're doing. They went to jail. Jail didn't teach them not to be a criminal. It didn't teach them a different path. They came out. They probably learned how to be a better criminal in jail. They probably got a couple connections and stuff. And then they came out and became criminals again. And now they're back committing crime. And that's not what you want. The prison system that we've got seems to be solely focused on punishment instead of rehabilitation. But again, I haven't done the research into it, so I can't even say. They may have classes here and there and all that sort of shit. But I think that there needs to be access to the internet, monitored access to computers and the internet. Like I'm saying, like heavily monitored, like every single click you click and every single website page you go to should be monitored, and the administrators should know what's going on there, because people can easily get on the internet and get out to wildness and be messaging people on Facebook and all that sort of shit. And I don't think that should be good. I think people shouldn't be able to use Facebook. They should be able to use social media to a certain extent, depending on what they're posting on social media. If they violate a certain, set of rules, then they should get that taken away. But I understand the prison system and the governments want to make prison look like it's punishment. They don't want people to think, oh, prison's just, super easy and breezy, because then it doesn't act as much of a deterrent. And then it's like, why not commit crime? Like, I'm just going to go to a resort for a couple of years if that's the case, if I get caught. So I understand their need to make prison look terrible and to not give people the ability to communicate with the outside world and make it look like it's less harsh than it is, or make it look like it's not that harsh. So I understand where that's coming from. But I think if we actually want to better people and help people get away from a life of crime, then we need to really educate people. And I think especially people who are imprisoned for non-violent drug offenses and, selling drugs and all that sort of stuff, like those people need to be taught about entrepreneurship, because they're already entrepreneurs. Like anyone, if you're selling drugs, if you're listening to this and you sell drugs, you are an entrepreneur, 100%. You buy drugs, yeah. Saying drugs just sounds so silly. You buy food, yeah. You buy it in bulk. You break it down to small bits. And, you add a premium on that price so you can make a profit. For example, if you buy a Q or something, that's probably like 60, if we're talking herb, that's like £65 or something. And then, tenses of that would be, well, £10, obviously. But a Q's like 7 grams. I don't know what your dealer's saying. Like, he might bump you. But let's say you get 7 grams and you pay £65 and you weigh each tens at 0.8, or you do scores, which is what most people do, and you're not weighing that at 1.6. Let's be real, you're weighing that at less than 2 tenses. That's like 1.3, maybe 1.4, and that's £20. So let's say 1.4 is £20. That's about I can't even bother to do the maths, but you sell 3 of those at 1.4. That's 4 times 3. That's 12. That's 1 times 3. That's 3. That's 4.2. So you've made £60 and you've got a little bit left off. You could probably make a £20, maybe a £40 if you're lucky, off that profit. So I think Q's probably £65. So let's say £35 profit or £15 profit, which is dead, but it's still profit. Like, you've broken it down, you've bought low, you've sold high, and that's basic business. Basic business 101, buy low, sell high. Buy in bulk, sell in pieces. Like, that's what sweet shops do. That's what Sainsbury's does. So you know how to kind of deal with retail a little bit. You just need to know how to sell things other than drugs. Like that's what you need to. You just need to look into a different. No, what is the word? I'm totally at loss for the word. A different category, you know what I mean? A different type of thing, different industry. There we go. You need to look into a different industry that you're really passionate about and learn how to do the same thing there. Learn how to sell stuff there. And once you've been selling, drugs and stuff on the roads, then you know the basics of buying and selling, and you just need to have that knowledge expanded a little bit. So I think for non-violent drug offenses, like, there really should be an entrepreneurship program in prisons for that. Like, anyone who gets arrested for selling coke and heroin and all that sort of shit, if they haven't been shooting people and stabbing people and doing all that sort of madness, then, even if they have, to be honest, but, let's focus on the people who haven't been committing violent crimes. Like, these people need to be taught how to turn this experience into a positive one, and how to actually help people and make money at the same time. Like, I think that will be really, really important. It will be really, really beneficial to their lives, because then they can come out. And, maybe we have a few classes of people who go in there and teach people about this sort of stuff, and they get access to, maybe a course online, and they walk through the process of maybe setting up their own brand and trying to deal with that, and, dealing with all that sort of stuff, and just gaining the education. And then by the time they come out, they know this sort of stuff. They can continue learning about this sort of shit, and they already have a brand that they started, and they can move forward and adapt that and get better and improve and try and move down this entrepreneurial path. Maybe they have to come out and get a job and do that sort of stuff so they can support themselves and stay alive for a little while. But they have the knowledge and the opportunity to go down a positive path with the information that they know. So even if they do come out and they return to crime and criminality, then they may use that crime to fund their legal endeavors in the future. And, that's what it's all about. That's what committing crime is all about. It's about getting enough money so that you can go legit. Like, that is what a good criminal wants to do. He doesn't want to be a criminal forever, because, eventually the police are gonna get wise, and they're gonna learn how to get you somehow. Like, if they fling resources at you, you're gonna get done. Like, even in this day and age, with all the surveillance that people do on themselves, like, it's madness to try and be a criminal for 40 years. Like, you are mad if you're trying to do that these days. Like, you're on some mad thing. You really gotta be top done, and you need to make enough money that you can pay everyone off. Like, you need to be in those leagues. If you're not in those leagues, you go in jail. Like, real talk. If you're not making enough money to pay man who's coming to arrest you, then you go in jail, or to pay the judge, or to pay politicians, or whatever. I don't know. I never got to that stage. But if you're not in that position and you're trying to do this on a long-term thing, you get in jail eventually. Like, it's just got to happen. Or you're going to deal with, like, losses. Someone's going to rob you. And then, after someone robs you, it's like, what do you do then? Do you go and murder them? Do you go and rob them back? Do you deal with, what's the retaliation? If you don't retaliate, more people going to come rob you? And then is it going to get to the point where, you have to retaliate in some sort of wild fashion in order to get respect and make sure people don't try it anymore? Or is someone going to run up on you and just get rid of you, basically? So these are things that are stresses when you're on these roads, on these cold streets. But, that's talking about crime again. We're trying to talk about the rehabilitation of criminals, because we don't want people to go to prison and then be surrounded by criminals and just become better criminals. Or, like, it just doesn't make sense. If you put people into, like, a place with a bunch of people who are criminals, why do you think they're going to come out being a good person? Or let me not say a good person, because that's very, very subjective. Someone who commits crime can still be a good person. The laws that are applied to us doesn't necessarily mean, they're not based on morality. They're based on political, reasons and that sort of stuff. But if you go to prison and you're surrounded by people who commit crime, I don't understand why people think that you're going to come out and be this holier than thou person who's going to be like, no, I'm not going to commit crime anymore. Like, it just doesn't make logical sense to me personally. Like, that seems very naive. I think you should know that the people you hang out around, like your peers, that sounds like a bunch of French guys named Pierre. Your peers, your peers and your environment highly influence the type of person you become and the type of things that you do. So I don't think that's smart to put people in a place surrounded by people who are criminals if we don't want people to come out and be criminals. Like, it just doesn't make sense. But I understand that it's necessary. It needs to be done. You can't just put a bunch of criminals or put a criminal in a place with a bunch of people who aren't criminals, because then people who aren't criminals got to deal with criminals. So, it's got to be done. But I think prison serves a purpose in keeping people who may be a danger to society away from society. I think that makes a lot of sense. Keep them away. But I think holding people back in life is counterintuitive. I understand it in terms of it being a punishment. Is my alarm already going off right by now? I understand it being in terms of a punishment, as though, if you hold someone back 3 years, then they're going to realize 3 years of their life was gone, and they're not going to want to come back to jail because, that's a shitty thing. But it also holds them back 3 years. And now when they get out, they've got less options and less opportunities, and they'll probably deter back into their old ways because they don't know any better. Some people go to jail or prison and they read books and they become better people for it, and they come out and they're, a renewed person. But I don't think that's the majority of people. I don't think that's what's happening by and large to most people who are going to jail. I think that's more of an exception to the rule. I think we really want to focus on trying to make that the main purpose of prison. To get people coming out and not wanting to go to prison again, but also wanting to do better and wanting to be positive people and be positive influences and positive providers to society or contributors to society. I think that's what we really want to get into people's heads and help people with. I think that's very, very important. We want people to embrace their passions, and when people embrace their passions and they realize that they can make money from embracing their passions, you can make a living doing what you love, you'll see a lot more people just being happy in general. And I think, as I said, insecurity leads to this sort of stuff as well. And sadness, like that's going to lead to criminality. So if you see people just being happy doing what they want and doing something that is positive for themselves and positive for the greater community, then I think you'll see less people going back to crime. I think, but I'm not a professional or anything. And I understand some people may be like, why would we invest this money that is obviously going to cost to educate these people and give them the resources to do this and pursue these opportunities and learn how to become entrepreneurs and all that sort of stuff. And I understand that. Like those resources should first be, this sort of stuff should first be implemented in schools so that we stop people before they even get to prison and get in the justice system and that sort of stuff. But I think that the upfront investment is going to pay off greatly in terms of the economy. Like, people are just gonna become entrepreneurs and make more money and help out the economy. That's gonna be better for the economy. So we're gonna make more money and have more money in tax dollars. But it's also better in terms of, if you teach someone who went to jail for nonviolent drug offenses to come out and start a business and, maintain an operational business that brings in income, then that person is unlikely to return to jail. I'm not going to say they're definitely not going to return to jail, because they might still be doing some dodgy shit, but they're unlikely to return to jail at that point because they're doing something positive and they're seeing results from it. And I think, like, nipping that in the bud and keeping people from coming back to jail and having to take care of them and feed them and have a place for them to live is going to, like, I think the upfront cost is worth that, because the longevity cost, like the cost in, 10 years is significantly decreased, because you don't have to take care of this person because they're taking care of themselves. So I think that's definitely something to think about. And I think we really should be focused on rehabilitation over punishment, man. Punishing people doesn't necessarily make them want to change their ways. It just makes them want to not get caught. Like, that's what it does. Like, if you punish someone, you're like, yo, let's punish them. That's not going to change their mindset on what they were doing before. Like, some people maybe, but I think for the majority, you're just going to make them not want to get caught in future. If they're really stuck in their ways and they think that this is the way of life for them, then you really need to change that. You need to change their mindset. And I don't think that's happening in prisons, although, as I said, I haven't done the research. If that is happening in prisons, please let me know. Comment below. I can say comment below now because we're on SoundCloud and YouTube now. That's the platform we're going with. So it's going to be interesting to see the comments like throughout the episodes, to see where people comment and what they comment about and that sort of stuff. It's going to be fun going back to SoundCloud. Let me know what your thoughts are on prison. Do you think prison is not harsh enough? Do you think it's too harsh? Do you think we need to focus more on punishment or more on rehabilitation? Let me know your thoughts. I think this will be an interesting conversation, as I think a lot of people will have a lot of different approaches and thoughts and reasons for those thoughts. But I think we need to focus on trying to help people become functioning members of society instead of housing people in a box for the rest of their lives. I think we'd be better off as a society, better off as a country, if we focused on improving people and helping them improve their lives than just sweeping them under the rug and hoping that they die in prison. But those are my thoughts. You may disagree. You may fervently disagree, and I want to hear your thoughts. As I said, comment down below. Please, like and review and all that sort of shit. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace out. If you want to learn how I got over 23,000 subscribers and millions of views on my YouTube gaming channel, then you are in luck. Sign up to this free course right now. Link will be in the card, in the description, and in the pinned comment. Or go to growonyoutube.com/20k SEO course. In this course, you will learn the best way to write your video titles, tags, and descriptions to help you rank on the first page of YouTube. It's simple when you know what to do. I'll also show you a hack that will help you choose the right key phrases and help you create videos that can rank and get views no matter what game you play. Stop struggling to grow your YouTube gaming channel and start doing what works. Click on the link in the description or go to growonyoutube.com/20k SEO course. This course will not be up forever, so get in there as soon as possible. I hope to see you here soon, and I wish you the best of luck on your journey of turning your passion into your career.
It's been a cold winter and it's lasted far too long.